for everything, we just a little bit waiting for some of the participants to join so that we can carry all along, inshallah. I hope you hear me. Assalamu alaikum. Yes, we just check a little, like 5 minutes, then we start, inshallah. I hope you enjoy it, inshallah. Yes, you're welcome. Yes, we are starting, inshallah. Just keep on, inshallah. Be with us, inshallah. Stay with us. We're inshallah starting just in 2 minutes time, inshallah. So we will not keep you also waiting us, inshallah. In next 2 minutes time, inshallah. Yes. Yes, alhamdulillah, we are having other participants are joining, and that is the benefit of the waiting a little, inshallah. So we'll carry each and everyone along, inshallah. Thank you very much for your patience. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I want to welcome all the participants, all the presidents, organizers of the NISCOM, as well as our esteemed facilitator of this very important webinar of today. Our webinar of today is having a very wonderful and very important theme, wellness webinar. And we all know most of the participants we are having under the umbrella and the banner of NISCOM such a series of webs and lectures to impact our life and also to educate ourselves in this very new normal time, as we normally call it. Uh, Today, inshallah, we are having a very important, relevant, as well as timely webinar under the title or the topic of COVID-19, the fear, the care, and the new normal. This is very, very captivating and eye-capturing a topic. Alhamdulillah, we are today, inshallah, to start. Before then, I want to just take a brief note to pray for Almighty Allah to give us a very, very impactful and very, very beneficial deliberations from the beginning to the end of our webinar, inshallah. We are hope, inshallah, at the end of this webinar, we are going with much knowledge and experience, particularly from the topic and also from the experience of the facilitator, inshallah. Bear with us. Have a little to briefly check on. The introduction, just a little briefly, want to just introduce to the participants the rules and regulations or the rules pertaining to this webinar placed in place. That is just a reminder. It's just a reminder that we have to normally off our or mute our mics, as well as the running of the presentation, inshallah, so that we can be very, very much in control. Then question and answers also will be given, inshallah, at the end of the presentations. And maybe in the presentations, maybe the facilitator may ask for interaction. So in such a way, in such a situation, participant can on or unmute his mic in order to respond to some maybe interactive question and answers that the facilitator may request from time to time. And the introduction of our facilitator, briefly, we are having Assistant Professor Dr. Mutiu Salami from the Department of Psychology and Counseling, University of Pendidikan, Sultan Idris from Ferak. Alhamdulillah, our facilitator of today, the caliber and the experience he has, inshallah, we hope will do justice to the topic, inshallah. But briefly then, let us know something about our facilitator. Dr. Mutiu Salami, Director of Psychology in the year 2017, University Pendidikan Sultan Idris, UPSI. He backed his Masters of Clinical and Counseling Psychology in 2011 International Islamic University, Malaysia. So he is a graduate of UIE, alhamdulillah. And is a Bachelor of Science Psychology with honors in 2004 from University of Ibadan, Nigeria, alhamdulillah. He also possesses a diploma in public administration in 2000 from University of Abuja, Nigeria. So alhamdulillah, we have different experiences, different field area. He possesses over 7 years of experience as a facilitator and leadership in management with community service among undergraduate students in IIUM. Until now, he has been an academician in academic and at tertiary education level as a lecturer and researcher. His professional teaching and research has been in the areas of clinical psychology, Islamic psychology, and positive psychology. He is the former coordinator of the Master in Clinical Psychology program, a joint professional course from UPSI and USM, and currently clinical psychology specialist attached with the Hospital University Science Malaysia, HUSM Malaysia. Alhamdulillah, our esteemed participants, this is Assistant Professor Dr. Mutiu Salami for you. Alhamdulillah, we are having you, and we are hoping, inshallah, we're going to have a very, very impactful presentation. Then we have a question and answer at the end, as I said, then the closing prayer. We are having all in all, inshallah, 1 hour to 2 hours, inshallah. We hopefully quickly, inshallah, round up before we even reach the 2 hours. So our facilitators is having 1 hour, inshallah, and some minutes for the presentations. Then we have the session for the Q&A, inshallah. The topic, as I said, first normal and the fear, the care, and the new normal is one of the very, very much captivating title, inshallah, topic, because of its timeliness as all the runs at this time. So we are looking forward to having a very impactful and as well as beneficial presentation from the scholar. Our scholar, the table is here for you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, sir. Yes, the floor is for you, inshallah. It's yours now.
Okay, alhamdulillah. I really appreciate having me to be part of your webinar programs. I think we are starting already. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulullah Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabi wa man ittaba'ani wa lillahi Rabbil Alamin. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Without taking much of our time, I want to really express my appreciation to the organizers of the program. I'm very much aware NISCOM is very enthusiastic, and NISCOM has been like putting every effort to better the life of students in IIUM. And based on my experience in UIA, I think NISCOM has been through a lot, and we've never been, letting anything undone in terms of taking care of students in IIUM for some couple of years back. And I think the recent NISCOM is doing even more than what I used to know. Alhamdulillah for putting me in the position of sharing my ideas among students in IIUM. I also was a student in IIUM as far back as 2008. It's such a tremendous journey to study in IIUM, and I guess even as far back as 2008, 2010, 2011, while some of us were there, it's such a tremendous experience as students, as learners, as family men and women. And I think the same thing applies to current students also, due to the fact that, despite the fact that a lot of things have changed, IIUM still remain a citadel of learning that, helps students to achieve, certain degree of their potential. So I really recommend, I really commend what NISCOM is doing. And I want to show my appreciation once again for putting me in this position to share my ideas in relation to the topic. I think as far back as the last program I attended, which happens to be the area program, one of the officials met me and we started talking about this particular program. Alhamdulillah, we are here today. We are trying to actualize it, hopefully between now and the next possibly 2 hours, because after this I'm also having a class. We are going to see how well we can do justice to this topic. Without putting much into the preambles I've been highlighting, I think it's better I start with the slides. I'm going to present my ideas through some number of PowerPoint slides. Let me see how I can. Oh, it's here. Okay, it's here. I do believe we are seeing the slides already, right?
Yes, we saw it.
Okay. All right. When this topic was given to me, I decided not to change anything, even though I was given the chance to make any adjustment, and I think it's okay. It's very much stable to the current situation we find ourselves. And I do believe as students, we have one or two things to pick from it. So when we look at the topic, we will see that the word fear comes first. Then we are going to look at what do we really understand by caring or care by its, by its word, and how do we go through the new normal in the current situation we found ourselves. So looking at the word fear, which happens to be a natural phenomenon, can actually be defined as a state of negative emotional state caused by a threat of harm, of pain, or sometimes even any dangerous object or stimuli that come our way. Okay, so naturally we are bound to be afraid of some number of things. All right, most especially when it comes from the external environment. Okay, the current COVID-19 has really put fear in a lot of people, and is such a kind of an unprecedented phenomenon that we've never been experiencing before. I think after the COVID started, as far back as I think February, March, we must have been, bombarded with a lot of information. As far as I know, what looks like a COVID in terms of human experience as far back as 1902, which was called the Spanish flu at the time, and how many millions of lives it claimed at that time also. Actually, it has happened before. Okay, something like this has happened before. The records are there, but the reality is that the fear we are actually experiencing comes in a situation where we cannot even see it. Okay, physically it cannot be seen. It's something very, very small. Okay, the scientists can identify it with a particular form of picture. We've seen so many pictures of it. But the reality is that it remains an unseen enemy, an unseen threat that we are meant to always wash our hands. We are meant to keep some kind of social distancing in order not to, get in contact with it. All right. So it still remains a kind of an unseen object that poses some kind of fear in us. When we look at our daily living before the COVID, we can see that while we meet freely, we do some number of things so freely in terms of interacting with ourselves in the environment, that has been changed now. Okay, we cannot do that anymore. We've been so restricted. We've been asked to stay home. all of it, all are as a result of the fact that we just need to be very careful of what, be very careful of an unknown, an unseen, a very tiny object, okay? And in most cases, it often puts us in a kind of discomfort. We are not pleased with it. We are not. It's not something that, you know, make us feel better. We are not really okay with it, and of course, it's going to remain like that. It's putting us generally in a state of uneasiness. Um, we have to remain very careful. More especially when we continue to see the news every day, the numbers coming up on our screen, either on the phone or wherever we are looking at the reports from, keeps us in a state of fear. All right, the numbers are not good. It keeps us in a disturbing situation. Why? Because what the threat looks like is that when somebody contacts it, it's going to affect some number of, body functions. And to some, alhamdulillah anyway, to a lot, people have been getting cured, they've been recovering from it, and they've been discharged from the hospital, if you actually look at the figures. At the same time, it becomes a threat when we look at the scenario where those who are unable to, to recover from it and eventually give up as a result of the COVID, put them in a, in a very challenging moment, most especially when it relates to the family members. All right, it's such a disturbing scenario where family members cannot even, go and bury their loved one. All right, so that alone, when we look at all this scenario, we could see that it's such a very disturbing scenario, and everyone remains so careful. Everyone remains so much alert in terms of, trying as much as possible not to get in contact with the COVID. And of course, anything that puts us in a state of fear do trigger some kind of physiological response. Okay, it's very much different to when we experience a fight or flight response. Okay, I mean, for instance, when we are meant to face a very challenging situation. For instance, if accidentally we come across with a snake, I mean, we come in contact with a snake by accident or by any means, it puts us in a state of, fight or flight response. The fear factor triggers this physiological response of either we run away from that snake, or in the course of running away, we might even sometimes try to fight back, depending on the individual. All right. So fear is something that triggers both physiological and psychological response. And of course, we are not going to define fear alone. We are going to look at fear from another, disturbing state of human functioning, which is, anxiety. We need to also see anxiety as a feeling of fear, as a feeling of worry about what is to come, what we may be expecting to come. All right. So when we find ourselves in a state of worriness, we find ourselves in a state of concern about what is going to happen. All right. That is an anxiety state. So the COVID has also put us in that position. We are very much anxious. We don't really know where we are going to find ourselves with this situation. As far back as February, when the whole thing started, experts were saying, okay, maybe it's going to take us like 6 months to get over this. Maybe it's going to take us like 1 year to get over this. Okay, possibly a vaccine will be ready by the end of the year. All right. A lot of projections have been made. A lot of expert analysis have been, given out in the sense that what and how can we get across in curtailing the COVID-19 or the coronavirus as it was then, it's like, putting us in a state of anxiety because no confirmed position yet in respect of when is this situation actually going to end? When are we going to get our life back? When are we going to start, how we've been living our life as far as, in fact, January this year. Okay. So we are still in a state of anxiety. We don't really know what is going to come after now. We don't really know whether we are going to get back to our classes. We don't really know whether we are going to get back to our normal traveling, routine. I don't know how many of us have been finding it difficult to travel back home. I myself, by now, I should have been in Nigeria and back, but I keep still hoping to travel, possibly before the end of the year, possibly by next year. I keep projecting. So this what anxiety puts in us because of the fact that we are battling a crisis that we have no idea on how to really tackle it and when is it going to go away. All right. When an individual faces a kind of potential harm or worrying state, feelings of anxiety are not only normal, of course, but necessarily is very much okay for our survival. All right. Why should we see it that way? Is as a result of the fact that anxiety puts us in a state of alert. It puts us in a state of, being able to know what to do and what to do next. All right. It has made us to be much more careful in terms of what to do with our life. It has made us to be much more conscious of how to live a healthy living. I mean, how to live a good life in terms of, doing exercise. Because since when we've been locked down, for instance, for the fact that we are having some difficult moments in our daily living, okay, we've not been going to classes as usual. We've not been able to see our supervisors as usual. It's like we've been restricted to the online kind of classes. So the scenario is like, how well are we going to live a better life and how well we are going to restructure our life is based on the fact that we are anxious of what this COVID is bringing to us. So that state of anxiety has also triggered how much carefulness and how much pro-social kind of behavior we can exhibit and how much of maybe to some, how well can we be much more religious at this time, be more spiritual and more closer to Allah at this time, okay? It's all as a result of the fact that we are in a state of anxiety. And this is what I mean by the fact that it's also necessary for our survival, okay? So that's another concept we need to put in mind. Another concept we can also put in mind is the state of uncertainty. Yeah, this is all as a result of the fact that the fear factor the COVID has put in us has also put us in a state of distrust. When we don't really know what is coming up next, okay, we are not really certain of what we are going to face and how we are going to get over this. All right, the current lockdown has been extended to December. Hopefully, maybe things can get back to normal by then. But from the reality of what is on ground, the number of cases that keeps rising, and how well the medical experts, the frontliners have been putting a lot of effort to reduce the numbers, to curtail the spread of the virus, remain quite unknown. All right, it's still like, the figures we get every day is not really encouraging to put us in a state of certainty. We are still in a state of uncertainty, and when I was trying to see the possibility of how well can I really describe this term, I checked with this dictionary, Merriam-Webster dictionary, and I come across some number of synonyms like distraught, like doubt, like inquiry, like skepticism, and even suspicion. All right. So this is what COVID has actually put in us. Depending on individual, we must have one way or the other found ourselves with these terminologies. All right. And either in terms of how we respond to the messages we are getting, because the COVID situation has put us in a kind of a new normal. We are getting back to that. A new normal where we want to see exactly what is happening in the news. We want to see the current updates. We want to really know what is actually going on. We want to be very much aware of, what exactly is the next line of action we need to do as students. All right. Possibly every week, the school management is sending memo. They are sending all sorts of information to us. We are also bombarded with some number of information from the authorities. This is what we are supposed to do. This is what we are not supposed to do. There are fines being put in place to some extent. There are even some kind of imprisonment. Okay, so we find ourselves in these terminologies. Okay, doubt is very much involved. Suspicion is very much involved, and all of them joined together puts us in this state of uncertainty. And of course, this kind of situation triggers that fear of the unknown. Okay, and what comes with that psychologically is what we call anticipated anxiety. Okay, when we experience increased level of anxiety by always thinking about an event or situation in the future. Okay, the COVID has put us in this state. All right, based on the fact that aside the normal fear response and the anxiety and the uncertain situation we find ourselves, we are now getting to a level at which we anticipate that fear, we anticipate that anxiety. We don't really know how well we are going to compose ourselves, how well we are going to live a better life come next year. We don't know what is actually going to happen. All right, our study has been restricted to be online. Yeah, to some of us, we are getting some advantages with it. To some, we are not. Okay, I can remember vividly how some number of students are finding it difficult to comprehend the fact that if we are paying some amount of school fees for the normal face-to-face classes, these school fees involve some number of issues like some number of things like our library fees, medical fees, and all sorts of fees in terms of what we're actually paying for. Okay, some number of students are calling for the fact that the school fees need to be reduced. Okay, due to the fact that the COVID has made us not to be able to, to make use of these facilities. And for the fact that we are not even going to the face-to-face class, which we do prefer, even having classes online, which is not also easy, should even bring down the tuition fee in the first place. But we are not getting that. Of course, there's nothing we can do about that, and that's putting us as students. It's putting us in much more situation of how well do we cope with this. All right, it's putting us in certain number of or certain level of anxiety and worry and distrust, and let's look at the terms of the screen. So when we look at all this, we find out that fear is not only a term we should have in mind. There are some number of negative emotional states that comes with it, which one way or the other we must have been experiencing since when the COVID started. But how do we adjust ourselves in this time of uncertainty? There is this theory. There is this Kubler-Ross theory, when she came up with the means of adjusting to serious negative emotion, even up to the level of grief and bereavement. Okay, I chose this theory based on the fact that it's also applicable to our current situation. for whatever kind of negative and disturbing emotions you must have been passing through. Fear is still very small in terms of even explaining what this theory upholds. But for the fact that at the time when we are still in a state of shock and denial, we still go back to when the COVID started. We have no idea what it's all about. Some of us think, okay, everything is going to be resolved, okay, possibly by September we are going to resume our normal semester and what have you, okay. But from what we can see in reality is that at the time we have two other levels of the curve. I mean, at the time we become so angry because we were asked to stay home. We cannot even go anywhere. It's even a bit pathetic for students in UIA when I heard that the UIA was completely locked. You cannot go in, you cannot go out. Just within that, 4 corner walls of the university, it's a bit touching because for those of us who are living outside, we could still move at least 10 kilometers away from where we are living. But you are locked down. I mean, I don't know what kind of emotional expression we must have had then, but it can be very painful. Anger may be part of them. And at the time, some of us might even get depressed. I mean, depressed in the sense that the situation has put us in a state of some kind of sadness. That what is actually all this? We receive call from home to give updates. I mean, when they ask us what is actually happening with our studies, what is actually going on where we are, and the information we give can be very disturbing sometimes, and the scenario is not really looking good. Okay, it has disrupted so many aspects of our daily living. It has disrupted so many aspects of our daily functioning, and we have no control over it. All right, and the fact that all this negative emotion has come in a situation where we've experienced some kind of sadness. Some of us must have been having some kind of anxiety. We must have been experiencing some kind of depression at the time, or somehow rather maybe a mix of all these emotions at certain number of times. And of course, we get over them, and eventually, it's like we don't really have any choice. We have to accept the situation because either we like it or not. Whether we really understand what is actually happening or not, it's like we may get to continue with this COVID kind of experience until next year, at least. Okay? And at this stage we are now, we are supposed to be in a stage of acceptance. Okay? Acceptance in the sense that we may not be having any choice than to understand the fact that the COVID is here to stay, and we are supposed to agree to the fact that we have to continue living with it. All right? For whoever is going to travel home among us, whoever has the opportunity, we need to go for a test, is going to pay for the test. I think I had about 300 ringgit, about 500 ringgit in some hospitals. We are going to be quarantined maybe in Nigeria, I don't know. For we lecturers, we are meant to understand that if we are going to leave this country, we are going to write a letter to the Director General of the Immigration. I mean, the Immigration Service, the overall head of the Immigration Service. Is going to take about 1 to 7 working days. He is going to approve or not, whether we travel out or not. And if we are going to travel, of course, we need to come back before maybe within the next 60 days, okay, something like that. There are certain rules and conditions, and the fact that we are living away from home, we are all students and lecturers in diaspora. We could see ourselves as people who are living under some kind of duress, or some kind of distress, okay? And when we find ourselves in this kind of situation, we we don't really have much other than to accept the situation. Okay, and for the fact that what acceptance means in psychology generally is very much like in a situation where we don't have a control over what is happening in our life, in a situation where we have all the means or some number of means to adjust to our prospects of survival. We need to accept whatever we have, all right? And as far as the care aspect is concerned in this topic, I come up with this formula, okay? Self-acceptance, positive relationship with others, personal growth, purpose in life, environmental mastery, and autonomy. We are going to break out this down gradually. This according to Skinner and Lopez in 2000. I could see that these 6 constructs are very much connected to the fact that how well do we live a comfortable life? How well do we live a life of ease? And some of the psychological means of living a life full of well-being, all right? We can break down well-being into different dimensions, but for the fact that how well do we live a kind of a good life, a life that can make us, be in a position of positive adjustment, positive functioning, and how well do we adjust our life in a situation of distress, all right? So we need to go through these 6 constructs to fully understand that. Number one of the fact is that we need to possess that positive attitude towards our own self, okay? In whatever situation we are, in whatever condition we are, personally, we need to have that positive attitude towards our own self. We need to acknowledge and accept the several stages of the several concepts of our personal self. What we see ourselves to be, what we plan for ourselves to come, all right? Our prospects, our plans, our goals. The current situation we find ourselves, we need to always feel positive, and we need to always see it from the perspective that, okay, this is who I am, and this is what I've been able to do with my life. And for the fact that I need to remain positive, we need to always also refer back to our past life. What I mean by our past life is that what we've been doing for the past how many years, the way we've been living our life up to this situation, we need to, see it from a positive perspective. We need to understand the fact that the current situation should not be the only scenario we should be looking at. The current situation we find ourselves is not the only scenario we should be, judging ourselves with. We should refer back to how well we've been living our life in Nigeria before we come here. When we arrived here last year, okay, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, how well we've been living our life up to this current moment. That alone will make us understand the fact that before the COVID, we've been passing through some number of obstacles and challenges. And as a result of that, we should understand the fact that whatever we've been doing at those periods, how we survive our challenges, how we overcome our difficulties in the past, should give us that, conscience, should give us that conviction that, yes, we are going to get through this. Okay, so we need to understand that level of self-acceptance. And if you look at the phrase here, when I look at the story of my life, I am pleased with how things have turned out so far. Okay, so this is what self-acceptance look like. So if I'm going to ask you, of course, how can you rate yourself between the ratio of 1 to 10? How can you rate how well you've been able to see things so far in your life? Okay, so generally acceptance connotes the point a person has said to the reality of a situation. All right, that's one. Secondly is personal growth. a feeling of continued development and potential, and very much of the fact that we are open to new experience, feel increasingly knowledgeable and effective. So personal growth should put us in a position of not only accepting the situation, but how do we even move forward with our life? Okay? When we say feeling of continued development, we should see it from the perspective that at the time we are in primary school, because of course we are all university students now, at the time we are in primary school in Nigeria, at the time we moved to secondary school, okay, at the time we moved to universities in Nigeria, all right, some of us must have done one diploma program like myself. Some of us must have done WAEC maybe like 2-3 times like myself, okay, but one way or the other we were moving forward, all right? We have this. We may not understand it there, but it's like a continued development. The challenges we are having then, okay, was based on the fact that if you don't have English, you cannot even get admitted into the university. So some of us have to search for that English in 2-3 WAEC examinations before even the commencement of NECO. All right. So the reality is, at the time we look back to the past, we see how well we can have that feeling of continued development, okay? And one way or the other, we find ourselves here in Malaysia to continue our studies, possibly either in master's or in PhD, all right? And for the fact that we have that feeling of moving forward, we have that feeling of continued development, and we are also open to new experience. Yes, that is why we are students, okay? And we need to always feel increasingly knowledgeable and effective with whatever we do. That sense of personal growth cut across not only in our study life, in our student life, but also in other parts of our life domains. I mean, you need to check out, okay, how well do you see yourself within your own family structure? All right? Personal growth here within the family structure will look like, okay, your parents are looking up to you, that you've been through all this all your life. You are here in Malaysia now studying to make further prospects. And you as an individual, possibly you have a younger sibling. Your younger sibling is also looking up to you. That should give you a sense of personal growth, that you are making progress. Because by the time you compare yourself to some of your friends, you compare yourself to others, you could see that you are in a better position of, somebody making a progress in life as compared to some number of maybe your colleagues in the past, even maybe your current colleagues. So for me, life has been a continuous process of learning, changing, and growth. So you can also put yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 and see where you belong, all right? So that's another thing. It keeps on going. Autonomy is like, you have that self-determination, you are independent, you regulate your behavior internally, you resist social pressures to think and act in certain ways. You evaluate yourself by certain number of standards. Okay, autonomy is something that is very much connected to you. Just like what you have, personal growth, self-acceptance, okay, all these are very much connected to us as individuals. Okay, so aside self-determination, you see yourself as an independent fellow, but that's not enough. The ability of being able to regulate certain number of behaviors internally. Somehow we need to sometimes, fight our internal system. What I mean is, when we find ourselves in certain number of situations where emotion always takes control, all right, our emotional feelings always take control in what happens to our actions and behavior. Then we need to look at how well do we check this, all right? How well do we look at means of allowing our thinking faculty to be able to suppress those emotions? How well do we put our belief and our faith in place to check our emotions? Because when emotion is pushing you to do certain number of things, in your belief structure, in your cognitive structure, your articles of faith is there, your belief structure is there. Your Islamic principles are very much registered there. How well do you, put those in place to check this number of emotions? Because the emotions will keep coming. It comes in different forms depending on individual. We need to always regulate. All right, we need to always look inwards and see how well we check ourselves. Of course, resisting social pressures to think and act in certain ways. Self-evaluation is very much connected to all this, but we don't really evaluate ourselves ordinarily, but we need to evaluate ourselves with certain standards. What are the standards we set ourselves as students? For some of us doing research, for instance, how well do we, put ourselves in a situation where we are able to cater for our daily needs as students? I mean, we are supposed to do some number of literature reviews. We are supposed to get some number of things to do in our research. How much progress are we making? How are we being able to convince our supervisors based on certain number of credentials he or she asks us to do? All right. We need to understand certain number of standards. That's at academic level. At the spiritual level, we are going to get to some of them, because as Muslims, we need to have certain number of standards we need to uphold, okay? And those standards from the religious perspective can also help us to, regulate certain number of behaviors internally, all right? We must have listened to so many lectures, of course, but how well do we put all this in place is very much centered on the fact that our self-determination and how independent we are, and our ability to regulate our behavior in this certain area of ourselves determines how well have we been able to maintain those standards after self-evaluation. So that's something we need to have in mind. Autonomy is very much connected to this, and I have confidence in my ability to regulate disrupting emotions and behavior. Yes, there are some number of emotions, there are some number of activities we engage in that are actually disrupting our academic life. They're actually disrupting our spiritual life. Okay, we've been locked down since February, since March. We've been living a life of, I will use the word solitary confinement, but we've been living so much to ourselves now as compared to before, because we find it difficult to do so many things. So how well do we, make certain number of regulations to our emotions and our behaviors that is in line with what we want academically? Okay, how much progress are we making? What are the disruptions we are talking about here? How much progress are we making spiritually? What are the disruptions? We need to self-regulate, because that signals the level of autonomy that is needed for us to keep moving. All right, it's part of the care factor I've highlighted here. Our positive relationship with others. Yes. Having that warm, satisfying, trusting relationship, of course, being concerned about others' welfare, capable of strong empathy, affection, being able to understand the principle of give and take. Yeah, these are certain number of factors, and how much have we been able to fall into this category? It was during the COVID when it was really serious, during the Hari Raya last time. At least I got some number of contacts. I know some number of people who were engaged in pro-social behaviors like sharing food packs to those who are actually in need. Yes. So if you are able to, if you find yourself in that category of people, you have the means of, taking care of other people. You have the concern of people around you in mind. Those who have some restrictions and some difficulties and some challenges around you, and you're able to contribute one effort or the other. All right? That also puts you in a better position in taking care of your own self. Because what happens is, when you feel comfortable and feeling comfortable with yourself, you've been able to, you have some level of autonomy, you have some degree of self-acceptance, okay? You've been able to address some of these issues. You have that ability to regulate yourself. You've been able to address this issue. You are making progress with your studies. You are making progress with your daily living. And at the same time, you have that ability to make, effort in helping others. Now, you stand a chance of increasing your self-care. What I mean by improving your self-care here is that the feelings you have when you put smile in other people's face, the feelings you have when you help other people's cause, okay, the feelings you have when you knock at your friend's door that, okay, please, how can I help you with what you need? And you are able to put enough effort in helping someone, in helping to buy something for someone, in helping to contribute towards the welfare of others around you, then it gives you a special feeling of satisfaction. Those kind of feelings are feelings you cannot even buy in the market. It's only when you take that extra mile, when you take that extra effort, you are going to feel it. And then we're talking about the spiritual reward you get. Okay, we are not going to that area, but we are looking at the feelings, the psychological happiness you have, putting smile into someone's face. Okay, that's why we are talking about when you have positive relationship with others. For those who are married, we are talking about having a trusting relationship, a satisfactory relationship. But the fact that we are locked down, some of us have no choice than to stay home. Okay, you are staying home with your family, you are staying home with your children, and you don't have any choice other than to make sure that the relationship you have with them is optimal, is satisfying, and it's positive. Because based on research, within this COVID scenario, some families are not finding it easy due to the fact that there is no positive relationship between household members. Okay, there are some disturbing figures, there are some disturbing facts, coming out from the fact that families are becoming very ineffective. People are losing jobs as a result of that. The children are not finding it easy. Spouses are not finding it easy. Things are really difficult at this time. But based on the fact that your relationship with others, that feelings of empathy you have for other people, and you are making extra effort to make other people's life better, gives you as a person some level of, positive emotional state and positive cognitive state. You become happy with yourself. It gives you that, that degree of satisfaction with your own life, that yes, you've done something to help others, and you've done something to help your colleague, you've done something to help your neighbor. And for the fact that you are not even expecting anything in return, the positive emotion you derive is okay for you to move on. All right. People describe me as a giving person, to share time with others. All right. We can also check ourselves with that. Then we have environmental mastery. Okay. Being of competence and being able to manage a complex environment. How well do we choose or create personally suitable contexts? Yes. The COVID situation should not put us down. The scenario we find ourselves should not make us ineffective, other than the fact that we need to master what we have on the ground. How do we master it? Okay, now we are learning online. Most of the things are very much connected to our laptops, to our computers, to our phones. All right, for the fact that we are not even having any face-to-face class, it is very much connecting to the fact that what we acquire as knowledge now is on the screen. All right. Before now, when we have the face-to-face class, we also go to the screen. We browse the internet and we do so many things with it. Now we are doing more. All right. What can you do, and how well are you competent and able to manage the complex scenario we found ourselves? Okay. That's just grammar, but practically, how well do we adjust ourselves in making sure that what we do with our life now in terms of learning and studying is connecting us to the fact that our online world, what we do with the internet, what we do with the website, what we do in terms of, doing our research, cut across so many factors, because if we are not so careful, we easily get distracted. Don't forget the fact that we are always bombarded with a lot of information. We are always bombarded with a lot of news. All right. As Nigerians, I don't know how many of us are so much glued to the information we get as a result of the NSAS going on in Nigeria, like is it a month ago. Some of us have different views, and we looked at the situation in some number of different ways. At the time when we feel the protest was going down, some number of information and images keep coming up in another dimension when people are, getting what they are supposed to get from the warehouses. All right. It's such a period where we don't want to waste any moment other than the fact that we want to see what is actually happening. We are so much concerned about our family members back home. We must have made a lot of calls. We must have made a lot of contacts to find out what was actually going on. But all this, we are still battling with the COVID here, all right? At this particular time, we've not been locked down at this period like now. We are a bit free at the time. But at the same time, as students, one way or the other, we must have, been occupied with some of these things. And one way or the other, it has one thing or the other to do with our studying, all right? Some of this period gives us the opportunity to, get to know what's actually happening. And at the same time, how well does it affect our studying? How well does it affect our research? All this gathered together to put us in a position of how well do I master what is going on, and how well do I make best use of what is going on online? How well do I make best use of what is going on in the internet? All right. We need to choose or create personally suitable context for ourselves. Okay. It is not everything we respond to on Facebook. It is not everything we respond to on WhatsApp. We just need to choose. We need to also create. For those of us who have other kind of special skills, there are so many things we can do with it in terms of the online learning, in terms of the online studying. Some of us are also engaging in businesses now. The online world has put us in a situation where we need to, do things outside what we've been used to do before. So environmental mastery is so wide. I don't really know how well I can make a very good justification of this point, but it's such a wide concept. And as students, what we just need to understand is that for the fact that we are going to keep studying and learning online, we need to adjust positively to whatever we have on our laptops, on our fingertips, and how well does it, spell the best part of it for us. We need to explore that. We need to, make every opportunity out of it and get the best out of it for our, subsequent progress. I am good at managing the responsibilities of my daily life, okay? Then the last point here is purpose in life. Okay, our goals and our sense of direction in life, present and past life, are meaningful. The beliefs we hold that gives us purpose in our life, and always trying to figure out what makes our life meaningful. Okay, so this is one of the constructs in positive psychology that is connected to religiosity. And while some number of positive psychology experts have been exploring this particular area in religiosity and spirituality, as Muslims, we shouldn't have much problem in trying to identify our sense of direction in our life. Okay, let me make it known to you that one of the major proponents of positive psychology, one of the most pronounced experts, the person of Paul Wong, was giving us a breakdown of how, in fact, in 7 phases of human existence. Because of time, I'm not going to highlight all of them. At the end, he mentioned death. Okay, death is, of course, ends human existence on the surface of the earth. Now, after death, he now said man and humans are going to find themselves in a state of nothingness. So when I found out that this is his own position, he's more of a Christian mixed with Buddhism, and based on his background, he's more of a Christianity and a Buddhist person mixed together. Okay, so when I looked at this and I found out, wow, this is what he understands to be the state of nothingness after death. Then I looked at it from the Islamic perspective and I found out that, wow, what this guy is saying is not really giving much sense of direction to our existence as humans. As Muslims, we need to understand the fact that our living in this life doesn't end here. That's one major sense of direction. And our purpose of living should be that of worship to Allah, okay? Worship in the sense that every activity that we do, every aspect of our daily living, every aspect of what we exhibit as individuals, either to our family members, to our friends, everything in terms of our religious activities, in terms of our worship, ritual worship, everything, okay?
Yes, we have an hour now, inshallah.
Okay.
Just a little reminder, inshallah. Yes, we have an hour now. So,
I have 1 hour more, or I'm rounding up.
All right. Thank you.
I didn't get you. What did you say again?
Yes, you are already at 1 hour now, inshallah.
So how many minutes more?
Yes, that we said that 1 hour and some minutes.
Okay,
Inshallah. 15 minutes, inshallah. Yes.
I'm about to round up. So what we need to understand from this particular point is based on the fact that our belief as Muslims should give us a guidance and a sense of direction as to what we need to do. So this spiritual and religious perspective to our purpose of existence should give us and guide us to what exactly makes our life meaningful. So I try to distance from wandering aimlessly through life as I put my efforts to what matters in my life, okay? The new normal and positive functioning, this is a picture I got online, and this is how it looks like now in Harvard University. Okay, for any of us that have seen it before, it's from Harvard, and this is how it looks like now. The world is actually moving on, okay? The new normal comes with some number of new behaviors, okay? IIUM came up with, in fact, I was also listening to the rector directly last time during the last program. If we are talking about social distancing, we should be talking about physical distancing and social bonding. All right, social bonding is very much connecting to the fact that our positive relationship with others should not be jeopardized. Okay, this is a period in which, when we are trying to make changes to what we do, we should see opportunities in it. Okay, we see it as a chance of making our life better. All right, the new normal should not be like a threat to us. We should see it as a means of not only change, but as a means of opportunities. All right. Firstly is what I tag as spiritual well-being. Okay. Part of our new normal should be that as we keep interacting with people, with our daily living and what we do as humans, we need to always at the back of our mind, seeking forgiveness from Allah. I bring in forgiveness first due to the fact that the current scenario with the COVID, it's like humanity is in a very big danger. It has caused big problems to so many people worldwide. People have died and people keep dying. We need to keep seeking for forgiveness for whatever we've done, as humans, as individuals. We also need to keep forgiving others. Forgiveness comes in positive psychology under the pretext that whoever we feel that has offended us, we should not allow that grudge to stay so longer. We have the hadith where we shouldn't allow the grudge to stay more than 3 days or 3 nights. I think we all are aware of that. It means that when we are hurt by someone, we are being offended by someone, let's try as much as possible to release that grudge. It shouldn't stay more than 2-3 days in our mind because it hurts us the more, even though the person is at fault. When we keep the grudge causes much more negative emotions to spring up, and that is not good for our functioning. It's not good for our daily living. All right? We need to exhibit that sense of forgiveness. We need to always seek forgiveness from Allah also. That should be non-stop. All right? We need to have that sense of gratitude. We need to appreciate what Allah has done in our life. Like I said initially, when we look back to our previous life, we look back to what we've been achieving. We look back to how well we've been living our life before we come here. When we arrived here and what we've been doing, we look back even to yesterday. We should give sense of praise to Allah. We should appreciate what Allah has done to us. We should appreciate what our colleagues have done to us. We should appreciate our parents. We should be calling them and giving thanks to them for what they've done to us. We should appreciate whoever must have supported us to come here. We should appreciate and give thanks to whoever must have assisted us in one way or the other. That sense of gratitude, helps us more psychologically. Because of time, we should also persevere. Like I said, the COVID has come here to stay. I don't know for how long, and I believe we also don't know for how long. All right? The experts keep telling us, okay, we need a vaccine. Some experts are saying we don't need a vaccine. Yeah. Israel came up with their own 2-3 days ago, and experts are already condemning it, that it's not true, that it's too extraordinary. I was listening to Fauci, the US expert, the other day. He was saying it's too extraordinary. It's like it's too good to be true. So we don't actually know when the whole thing is going to end. So we just have to understand the fact that we need to keep bearing. Perseverance comes with patience, and this can be very much unlimited. Psychological well-being, we need to have a sense of self-efficacy. We need to, it's very much connected to self-acceptance. We need to understand the fact that what we've been able to do as individuals should be connecting to the points we've discussed earlier on in terms of autonomy, all right? We should also understand the fact that as individuals, our ability to be able to do what we can do best, how well we've been able to take care of ourselves, how well we've been able to obey the rules and regulations around us now, how well we've been able to curtail our emotions, self-regulation, and all those things. We need to have hope, both from the agency and the pathway dimensions. We need to understand that despite the COVID, our plans and goals we set for ourselves should not be jeopardized. Inshallah, we are going to be graduates. Inshallah, we are going to be experts in our various fields. Inshallah, we are going to attain what we've planned for ourselves. And at the same time, the pathway is that what are those means to which we get to what our goals are? The pathways, what do we need to do? We need to keep doing our research. We need to keep upkeep what we've been doing as students. All right, the pathways are there. Now the pathway is taking some new dimensions. It has to be online. We need to, accommodate every means through which we can get to where we want to go. All right, and then we need to have a sense of meaning. What exactly really makes sense in our life? What is those activities that we feel that can make our life meaningful as individuals? That can be a point we need to keep searching. Okay, as Muslims, yes, we must have identified some number of things, and at the same time, we need to, spiritually look inwards and keep reminding ourselves, this is what I need to be, and this is what I need to be, and this is what I need to attain for myself. Our ultimate goal, of course, is to attain the mercy of Allah, and some number of goals are also involved. Okay, so physical well-being, in terms of physical well-being, we need to have a very good sleep. All right, these are the new normal. These are the new normal. Okay, we need to have a very good sleep. Some of us must have been distracted. The COVID is not a very good thing. It has caused some sleepless nights to millions of people. People are having problem with sleep now. We need to relax more. We need to try as much as possible to relax our mind, relax our brain. We shouldn't do so much. We should have a very good sleep, because sleep is very good for our body. We need to eat good food. Unfortunately, if we eat whatever we have at our disposal, then we need to do exercise. I'm not going to recommend, but exercise can be very good. Unfortunately, for those of us in Buruburu, every Sunday in UIA, the COVID stopped it for some time. We resumed that time, another kind of lockdown has stopped it again. We get back to it. It's not a very good time for exercise on Sundays. We can also have our individual exercise, at our conveniency, within our domains, within our hostel, possibly, I guess, within UIA environment, we can still jog around. Of course, reading is part of our life as students. We need to keep reading. As students, we need to keep reading. We need to be very much aware that whatever we learn online may not be enough. The slides that are being presented online will not be enough. We cannot go to the library, but we need to read. Reading online may not be easy, but we still need to read. All right, we need to acquire more knowledge and try as much as possible to read what is really beneficial to us. I think I need to add one more. We need to play. All right, it's part of the new normal. We need to play. Play here means, what do you do that makes you feel better? To me, I watch movies. I just finished a series movie since, I think, last year. I started watching it since last year. The title is Homeland. It's more of like a psychological thriller involving the life of the CIA people, the FBI, what they do within the US, what they do internationally, across the Muslim world. It's so much amazing to watch that kind of movie. It's such a tremendous kind of thing. I enjoy watching those kind of movie. I enjoy watching sports. We need to play. I enjoy watching sports. Now we are locked down. We watch the screen. I'm a fan of Bayern Munich. For some people that knows, I'm a fan of Rafa Nadal in the tennis world. I watch all these games. It makes me feel better. Okay, when I have the time, I do all these things. This is where I'm going to round up. May Almighty Allah make it easy for us to understand more better than the way I presented it. وكل قولي هذا استغفر الله ولكم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Assalamu warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, brother. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That has been wonderful and very impactful, as well as inspirational presentation. As I have said in the opening of this program, the participants might now, inshallah, I'm convinced that yes, the caliber of our presenter has done justice to the topic given to him. Alhamdulillah. Remember, before giving brief summary of the presentation, I want to remind the participant that the question and answers now will follow immediately. So I hope you send your questions, type your questions, inshallah, in the place provided for the response of the presenter, inshallah. So a very interesting, important points raised in the presentations. We know that new normal, the presenter has taken time to digest the presentation on the topic, starting from the fear, describing fear, and even given the definition of what fear constitutes as also part of the topic, and also the theory behind the uh, fear and how the psychologists view fear, inshallah. That is very, very important. We educate, we become educated with this concept and diversity. And it links the fear, strong linkage with anxiety, uncertainty, anticipation of danger, and many other scope and dimensional areas of this fear. And then moves on to the care formula, the care. That is very, very important. When you become terrorized with fear, with COVID-19, with uh, so much difficulties and uncertainties, how do you care for yourself? This is very, very important step in which the presenter discuss the self-acceptance, personal growth, and autonomy, and positive relationship with others, how you relate with others, and purpose in life, environmental mastery, and many other areas that constitute or become an embodiment of the care formula. How somebody will care for himself and others, as well as the environment. This is very, very important. And Alhamdulillah, we have gotten the education for that. Then the new normal, and also the presenter takes his time to discuss the new normal, in which he discuss some spiritual well-being. How do you attain well-being spiritually? This is very, very important, because spirituality is situation is very, very important. It gives somebody spiritual confidence and harmony and raised, inshallah. So this is very important. The forgiveness issues, the sense of gratitude, the perseverance in seeking one's goal and attaining one's achievement or objectives. This is very important. And the physical well-being includes self-sufficiency, hope, and meaning in life. This is very, very important, and discussed also by presenter, by the presentation. And it captures well the physical aspect of well-being. This physical aspect also is one important component of the new normal, in which the presenter discussed the sleep, eat, exercise, read, and even play. Um, that is the maybe the custodians of new normal. Nowadays, people are getting anxiety and getting anger because of this well-being. It's very healthy and wealthy, but there is no physical well-being. So a lot of problems now comes, and somebody sleep, eat, no exercise, no read, not all these are some of the problems. I think wonderfully has been presented by the presenter this topic. And briefly, I want to also look into the new normal, the chaos, the complexities and contradictions that created by the emergence of this COVID-19. I hope maybe in the Q&A, maybe the presenter will just look and give us some insights about when the news broke out of this pandemic. We all know that it starts with becoming an epidemic, a surrounded a virus that comes within a very remote environment in Wuhan, China. It spreads to China, become epidemic. Then it spreads also again to all over the world and become pandemic. And this normally creates mass hysteria and in which a lot of responses comes from news. Chaos has been created. Complexities complexities of perceptions, information. These people from technological aspect, give their own perspective. From the psychological aspect, give their own. From the religious, from economic, from whatever, everywhere, complexity of issues and perceptions, and also contradictions. A lot of contradictions come on how to even believe or understand or accept that COVID-19 accept it. But from the psychological point of view, how the presenter will look into when such problems comes, how our mind should respond to such chaos, to such complexities, to such contradictions, and in the post-normal times, as they said, a time that becomes post-normal. It's not normal, but it is going that way that it must be accepted. Thank you very much. I think by now the presenter is ready to respond to some of our questions. Alhamdulillah. Remember, participant, I'm reminding you that don't put your questions in the place provided for our respondent, inshallah, to respond to some of very, very important questions. Sir, if you are ready, I'll read out the questions for you so that you respond. Hello?
Okay, all right. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Question number one says that given that COVID-19 has its symptoms, given that COVID-19 has its symptoms, how can one overcome the psychological fear of thinking one has contracted the virus while in fact, in reality, he hasn't contracted it? That's the question.
Okay.
Is that question clear? Is that question clear, or should I repeat?
I think, yeah, okay, come again. I think I got it already, but come again.
Okay. He said that given that COVID-19 has its symptoms,
Okay.
how can one contracted it, but in reality, he hasn't contracted it?
All right. The symptoms of COVID-19 came up from the early beginning when we started hearing all the news. We got to know that, okay, at first it's going to affect someone from the nose. All right. The virus is going to have somewhere within the nose segment of our, how will I put it? So the person will like start possibly sneezing, and from there it goes through the throat. When it gets to the throat, it may bring up some symptoms like coughing and sore throat, kind of infection. And at that time, the symptoms may not really come up into the forefront. I mean, the person is not going to show full symptoms. All right. Based on what I know also is that when the person contacted from the beginning, I mean, from the point of contact, passing through the nose, passing through the throat, before getting into the main organs in the lungs, and, before it starts causing real damages, it may take up to like 2 weeks. And that's why it's always very necessary to recommend, like, okay, someone needs to be quarantined for 14 days. All right, because the symptoms may not actually come to the fore until after like 14 days. That's why they always recommend this 14 days, 2 weeks quarantine. All right, for those that are traveling or whatever. So the issue is when somebody is having cough, okay, symptoms like sore throat, like all those, any symptoms of the COVID. Yes, ordinarily some people may, be having some symptoms relating to maybe like allergies before. And as a result of that, when the COVID started, maybe the allergies still continues, and it depends on the individual. Maybe the person is having allergies before, it shouldn't bring so much fear. But whoever is having, the symptoms of a normal flu, which we do know because the virus is also a flu. So the scenario looks like the person may start exhibiting some kind of fear that, wow, is this COVID or not? It's natural. Yes. So the thing is, going for a test is very necessary if you actually want to confirm that you have a COVID. Okay? But in the case of not going for a test, you need to just understand the fact that having flu symptoms, all right, shouldn't be a complete guarantee that you have COVID-19. It shouldn't be a complete conviction that you have COVID, because COVID comes with some number of flu symptoms and eventually start causing damages to the organ. So ordinarily, an individual should understand the fact that fear of the COVID may start coming, and at the same time, he or she should be able to understand that all necessary procedures need to be put in place, like, washing of the hands and washing all parts of the body properly, even if he or she goes out or having any fear of contacting it from somewhere, all necessary precautions need to be put in place first. So possibly after some couple of days, up to a week, if the symptoms are still there, then he or she should be able to make the necessary move of going for a test. All right. But when it's still at the stage of flu symptoms, I mean, the normal flu, like I said earlier on, like coughing. I got to know of a student whose school had a COVID. Right. When the student got home, he started coughing profusely. All right. So strong that the cough was even spread among the siblings. Okay. Now, when the news broke out that in that same school, one of the staff actually got a COVID and he tested positive. So it became a very big kind of anxiety and fear that, wow, it's like this particular student has contacted the COVID from this particular staff. Because the son or daughter of that particular staff was also in the same class with this particular guy I'm talking about. So it becomes a very big fear and anxiety situation. And as a result of that, in fact, this particular boy was tested and was tested negative. So we are looking at a scenario where a boy that was tested positive within the same class with some number of students, I think about 15 or 20 of them, one of these students who I know got cough symptoms, flu symptoms, but eventually tested negative. So depending on individual, the symptoms at the beginning may not, lead to a complete positive diagnosis of COVID. One needs to take it gradually, understand the nature at which the symptoms progresses, and when it actually comes to the fore that, yeah, this person is having COVID. So it all depends on individuals and how the situation is being addressed.
Yes. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, sir. Next question. Jesus, AG, example difficulties or otherwise, the psychologist in reverting back to our old ways after the fight of COVID-19 has been won. The question clear?
Come again.
Yes. Are there projections by psychologists in reverting back to our old ways after the fight of COVID-19 has been won? They're asking, are there any projection by the psychologist in reverting back to our old ways after the fight of COVID-19 has been won?
Oh, okay. So far, as much as I know, psychologists are not looking at that direction. Okay. As far as the major, the major standing body of psychologists, which happens to be the APA, the American Psychology Association. When anything of such position is taken, we are going to get informed. Right. So among even researchers, there is no one so far that I know is looking at post-COVID situation yet.
Yeah.
Because majority still believe that until when we get a vaccine, until when we get the vaccine before the COVID can be put under control. So experts are looking at it from the perspective that as compared to other pandemic or other epidemic problems like HIV/AIDS, like the swine flu and H1N1, some of those diseases and epidemics are still with us. So it's like we are one way or the other living with them. All right. It's just that they are not so much in the limelight anymore as compared to the COVID. So psychologists are seeing it from this perspective that it's like the COVID is still going to be like that. After some time, maybe the numbers of infections are going to reduce, but some people are still going to keep contacting it, and people are going to get cured. People are going to be discharged from the hospital. Some people are still continue to be getting positive and being treated. Okay, so it's like psychologists are very much interested in what are the psychological implications of, what the COVID is all about and how well do we address them. But saying that the COVID is going to go away and how well do we adjust back to our pre-COVID existence, so far, there's nothing like that at the moment.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Somebody also asked about the movie that you have been watching, the series movie, but has been given answer. Maybe there are some of the participants that are very interested in watching movies also. So inshallah, I think has been given that Homeland, right? So it's been given, inshallah.
Mind you, there's one thing involved.
Okay.
I do observe this for myself. When you are watching movies or series, you may be addicted to it.
Yes, of course.
You must be very careful. Something. The moment you have one episode, you will want to watch the next episode.
Yes.
When the episode ends, you will want to see the next episode. It's like you may be glued. I have been watching Oman as far back as 2018. It took me like 2 years plus before I finished it just last week. So you just need to understand the fact that you need to create the time. When do you have the time? Because there are some number of things you need to do. So you need to take your time to watch it from time to time. Where do you stop? It's free online, of course. So you just need to take your time from time to time.
Yes. So you should give it a time that is very important.
Exactly.
Yes. I remember that even I myself, I started watching one series, but I couldn't even complete even one season, I think, because it is very, very difficult given time to the series. Yes. Okay. Let's move to another questions by brother Dr. Lawal Bello, alhamdulillah. He said that, can we include the act of giving as an important factor for achieving well-being? Because your well-being depends on the well-being of others. Thank you. That is the question.
Wow, can you come again?
All right. He said, can we include the act of giving as an important factor for achieving well-being?
Okay.
Yeah. The remaining is just statement, because it's a maybe justification. He said, because your well-being depends on the well-being of others.
Okay, it's like this. I'm going to paint a picture of mine. Like I said, personally, I've been involved in community service here in Malaysia among UIA students as far back as 2009. I stopped the leadership and management classes in 2017.
All right.
Okay, that's one. There are a lot of community programs going on here in Malaysia. I don't know. I think that has stopped even in leadership and management programs. I mean the co-curricular sector in the center in the UIA. But a student of mine told me an experience of a program they went to do in Cambodia. Okay, it's like this. I wish you can take this to Nigeria and put it, in one of what university students should be doing. When you sacrifice a number of time that you have, okay, you are able to gather some resources. Okay, possibly you are able to gather some used shoes, some used clothes. You are able to gather some money among you and your team. Maybe a group of individuals, a group of students, and they are able to get some encouragement from maybe the authorities, maybe the school management. They allowed them to go for like 3 weeks or 2 weeks. And this guy was explaining to me his experience in Cambodia in a remote village where there's no access of clean water, there's no access to electricity, and the children there are suffering, the elderly, and the people there, in real abject poverty. It's just like a picture in some of the communities and villages we have in Nigeria and Africa. So when you take your time, you've been living so much a kind of a life of comfort in your life in the city or in the town where you've been staying, and you find yourself in a place where you are contributing a very little effort to put smile in the face of the needy children, the needy people in some kind of villages. And they keep praying for you. The elderly people there keep praying for you. And they couldn't even imagine that you could do so much. But to you, what you are even doing is not even really much. But for the fact that you are able to contribute a lot to their life, you are able to put smile into their faces, you are able to organize some kind of activities for the children. For the first time, the children were able to do something so exciting and they are so happy. All right, their parents are so happy with you, and and you leave that place and come back to your normal life. What you feel is that you have a life of luxury. You are happy with yourself, despite the fact that you also have your own challenges, but you realize that your own challenges are so minimal compared to what others are suffering from. Then you appreciate your life, you appreciate yourself, self-acceptance come in, you boost your autonomy, it boosts all these psychological constructs we've been talking about. It's a special feeling. If actually we can do some of these things in remote villages in Nigeria, I could remember vividly when I was in Zamfara for my service. Actually, I was even lucky to be there, but I couldn't do anything in terms of, community service. It was during the census in 2006. I was one of the supervisors that was posted to Zurumi.
Yeah.
Zurumi is a local government in Zamfara.
Yeah.
And when we got to the local government, 3 of us were posted there from Gusau. When we got to the local government, we were now posted to an internal village. In this village, there is no house with cement. They are all mud houses. There is no pipe-borne water. The water they drink there is taken from the ground.
Yeah.
And we did census for like a week there. We were collecting data and everything. Okay, so I can picture myself in that kind of village doing some wonderful community service, helping them to live a better life. I don't understand the kind of feeling it's going to look like, but when you put smile into somebody's face, it's like what this person says is right. The well-being of others can qualify for well-being. It's very simple. But you need to act and put something in place to get that done.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. The another questions we have, we are quickly rounding, inshallah. We have remaining 2 questions. The second to the last says that how psychologically one can cope up with social media information in the time of new normal. How psychologically one can cope up with the social media information in the time of new normal or in the new normal time.
Wow, this is very challenging. The reason why I said it's challenging is that it depends on every individual. Now we're having the phone, we're having the laptop, okay? mind you that our social media sites, Facebook, Google, they are all connected.
Yeah.
Okay, from your Facebook, you can get some messages. From your Google, they are connected. When you sign into one of these websites, you're automatically signing into others, even to YouTube.
Yeah.
So the reality is that it's such a very difficult moment to cope with. And during this course of new normal, for the fact that we are not opportune to engage in outdoor activities, we cannot go out like we used to. We have been restricted. It makes it more even difficult to adjust to some of these social media challenges. But the whole thing is very much depending on how well do you check yourself. We just need to look inwards. And like I said in the autonomy point, when we were talking about autonomy, it was obvious that how well do we, internally check our activities and what we need to do. How do we choose and create what is best for us? All right. I cannot recommend any means of checking and adjusting to social media. It's such a wide world out there. It's such a means, so easy. They're all free to sign in. Each day I looked at my Telegram, I see so many new members joining Telegram also from WhatsApp to Telegram. And, it's so unfortunate that it is not even all these things we make use of at the same time. But the reality is we are glued
Right.
to all of them at the same time.
Yes.
So we just need to look inwards. How well are we able to remain autonomous? Autonomy in the point that we need to regulate ourselves. We need to check what exactly is the usefulness of these things we are doing, which one is useful to us, which one is not. Because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it takes a lot of our time.
Yes.
The timing is the problem. All right. So
Yes.
we just need to look inwards. It depends on individuals. We need to look inwards. We need to check our emotions and see how best we are able to adjust. Okay.
All right. All right. Thank you very much. The last questions. Can the act of giving be offered through knowledge sharing also? If it is religious, we can say yes, but from the ecological perspective, how do you see it, sir?
No,
Can
since
the act of giving?
religiously it's accepted
Yes.
because for the fact that you have that belief that
Yeah.
whatever you share in terms of knowledge, whatever you share in terms of knowledge, you are getting reward. Spiritually, you are getting a reward you cannot even see. It is a
Yes.
belief that gives you that conviction you are getting a reward gathered somewhere. All right. It is
Yeah.
the same belief that will tell you that whatever you share with other people are going to be beneficial. Okay. Whatever you
Yes.
share in terms of website, somebody can get scholarship. Whatever you share in terms of website, somebody can get a job. Okay.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, sometimes if me, I want to share, I will first of all look at the website, check how authentic it is before I share, because the people I'm going to share it to will also look at it. Perhaps
Yeah.
maybe somebody will benefit.
Yes.
I came to UIA based on the information given to somebody, given to me by somebody very, very far away. I actually don't know anyone in Malaysia at the time I was coming.
Yeah.
It's based on information shared. When UIA asks me, how do I get to know in the form, how do I get to know about my application or somewhere? The question was asked somewhere. We used to be asked some of these questions.
Yes, of
I got
course.
to know UIA online.
Yeah.
So it is a matter of what do you share and how do you think is beneficial to someone. We cannot stop sharing. We have to keep sharing. We need to have the conviction that yes, whatever we do in terms of knowledge, giving lectures online, look at the Ramadan, the last Ramadan, a lot of lectures were done online. We got information from the as if we were there, right? That is the online world. We need to share. We need to know how to use it. A lot of people went online. They went into Facebook. They went into Zoom, and they delivered their sermons. They delivered their utbah. They delivered their Tarawih programs. And a lot was done. So Yeah, it's something very necessary. If we are very much involved, we can keep going. Spiritually, we get the reward. Psychologically, it also builds our, you know, our sense of appreciation. Most especially when you share something and the person responded to you that, yes, thank you for sharing. When somebody shares something also, you also need to show that sense of gratitude. A thank you is enough. Jazakumullah khairan is enough. Appreciate the sharing. When others also appreciate your own sharing, then you realize that what you've shared has made an impact in someone's life. So when we keep sharing and we keep appreciating others, psychologically it helps us more. Okay, so something like that. Something like that. Yeah.
That's very good. By this, I think we come to the end of the questions and answer sessions. I think, Alhamdulillah, we can say that yes, Alhamdulillah, we have a very, very wonderful, very, very fantastic presentations, interactions, and deliberations to us the knowledge substance also. So our scholar, associate assistant professor Mutiu Salami, we don't have to say anything to you, but we just say thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. May Allah SWT reward you in abundance and also increase you in iman, wisdom, and knowledge, inshallah. So this is the end of this session. Brothers and sisters and participants, we thank you very much for your time, for giving us your time, and for joining us in this program. And NISCOM, inshallah, will continue to be coming up, inshallah, and next time with this another very much interesting and very much knowledge-based presentations and webinars, inshallah. The end is Assalamu alaikum. I, your brother, Bella Sani Yahuza, saying Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Next time.
Okay, most welcome.